Hello everyone, welcome back. So in our today's tutorial, I will show you how to create a card preview in Android Kotlin. So what does this means card preview? This is our Android demo application which we are going to create in our today's tutorial. So this is our card layout, and at backside, as you can see, this is our main home page. When I click on this card layout, it appears on the screen and the background goes to blur, and this title of our application comes in middle of our application, right? So this type of card preview animation we are going to create in our today's tutorial. Hope you will like this tutorial, and without wasting much time, let's start our tutorial. Head back to Android Studio, and here as you can see I had created an empty Kotlin project and I had given it name as card preview demonstration, right, demo application. And this is our main Kotlin file. Here I had declared some variables which I am going to use in my throughout our application, so I had declared it here. And then if you go to main.xml file, here I had prepared a layout. I designed a layout in which the root layout is relative layout, and then I had added the image view which is at the background, and then again I had created a relative layout with some padding and all these elements. And then in relative layout I had added the image view which is actually this back logo right at the corner. And then I had added text view which is the title of our application, and each of them I had provided the unique ID which we will be using in our programming after when we will do that. And then I had used the include tag. Now this include tag I had used to add this card view inside our main page, right? So here I had created one more XML layout which is this card view layout, and the root layout is card view as usual. It may by default not in your Android application. You need to add this by going to design tab, and then here you need to search for card view, and then here you will see the download logo, right? Just click on that and click on yes, and the dependency for card view will be added to your project. After doing that, you can use this card view inside your project. And then I had created here linear layout, and after that I had created one more relative layout, and inside it I had created text view and this text view. All these UI components I had added here, right? So I had created this layout. You just don't need to worry about that. I'll upload this project to GitHub, and you can take this XML file from there and you can edit it as per your wish. And then I had given it name as product details card, right? So in include tag I had added the layout element and passed the name of my XML file, so that this card layout has been displayed inside my here main.xml layout, right? And then I had given it ID as cv underscore product details, and other components I had used here. So in this way I had designed this my layout of my application. And then in drawables folder, to use all this background image and all this font and all this, I had added some images into my drawables folder. I am having two drawables folder here. Here also I had added all the images. For example, as you can see, I had added all the images here, backup and this, right? So you can take it from GitHub. I'll upload it to GitHub. So in this way I had designed my all the layout structure. Wait, something has been remained. If you go to resource folder, in values folder, I had added also strings for all this text, right, in my main.xml file here. Sorry for that, card view. Here as you can see I had used some text here, right? Here I am using some text, right? This all text I had passed into address string and then ID of dot text. If I click control and then on that text, here I had declared this text, and I had given it a unique name which I can pass into my XML file and assign that text here, right? So in this way I had declared all the strings that I want to use in my application here in strings.xml file. And then if we go to colors.xml, I had declared all the colors which I am going to use inside my application. And then in daemon folder I had declared all the margins and padding that I want to use for my borders of my application. So in this way I had designed this layout. You can just download it from GitHub and use it and uh, customize it as per your wish. So I think now it's fine for layout, and let's start our main programming in order to use this in order to create this type of animation application, right? So in order to create this type of animation, we need to use some external library, and I'll give you a link of this library in description. So the name of this library is Orion Preview, and it is created by Act Like Solution. And if you want to see the in order to use this library, we just need to add this dependency into our Android project, right? Just copy this dependency from here and go to our project and go to build.gradle file here and just paste it here, right? I had already pasted it here, and then sync your project. After syncing completely, the dependency has been successfully added to the project, and now you are ready to use this library, right? So start using this. This library actually contains all this type of animations such as scale animation, translation animation, blur animation, which we are going to use in our today's tutorial. So here I had declared some variables and assigned some type to those variables. For example, the first 4 variables I had declared are of scale animation type, and then next 4 are of translation animation type, and the last one is of blur animation type. And then here I am having the 2 variables to store the height and width of my application, which is by default null, and then the bitmap, which is type of bitmap. Now we need to first of all we need to use 2 functions here. We will declare 2 functions. I am adding here right now. So I am having here 2 functions, right? First one is get screen size, and second one is set bottom product margin, right? So first I will explain you what I did here. So get screen size is used to here, as you can see, I had declared about 2 variables, which is type of integer, and I had assigned it null, right? So in both the variables we need to store the height and width of our application, right? This application, because in order to do this type of animation we need to control the height and width, right? Because as you can see it is changing as per animation. So we need to take the height and width from our Android application. So I had created here variable which is display matrix, and I had used the method as display matrix, and then window manager dot default display dot get matrix. By using this syntax you can get the display of your Android mobile and size in form of matrices, and then the screen in this variable the size has been stored, right? So screen height equals to display matrix dot height pixel. The height pixel has been stored into screen height variable, and same for screen width variable, right? So we will call this method from our onCreate method, onCreate class. Okay, get screen size. Now the second function is set product bottom margin, right? So what happens if you are creating an application which contains this type of animation, right? So actually it depends on your device, which type of Android device you are using. If you are using Android Jelly Bean or lesser than that, then it is not this animation is not compatible with those devices, right? So we need to check if your device Android version is Jelly Bean or greater than that, right? So we need to check first that, and then we will perform the animation. So using this method we can check that, and then we can allow the permission to use this animation, right? So this LL product ID details, it is an ID of our LL product details, right? Just click press Ctrl and click on this ID, and you will be navigated to XML file. This is the ID of our linear layout, which contains the description and all buttons of our card view, right? Card layout, right? So I had passed this ID, and then dot view tree observer, and add on global layout listener. which means why we had did this. I'll explain you. If you see our main home page, the card view has been displayed under our screen, right? It is not totally displaying onto the home page, right? It is under that display. Now this id is of linear layout, right? This linear layout, as you can see, it is from here to here, right? And if you go to our emulator, and you can see this whole linear layout has been hidden behind our smartphone, right? Downwards towards, and we can't see it right currently, so we need to hide this part of our card view. So in order to do that, we need to use this view tree observer. What it does, it arranges the card view in form of tree, and it hides the some part of our card view under that bottom, at the bottom of our smartphone, right? So we can use this method and this layout, global layout listener, and this type of method. In this way you can use, and then we need to override the function on global layout. And here, by using if else condition, we will use we will check the Android version of our smartphone on which we are running our Android application, right? So build version.sdk integer, if it is greater than Jelly Bean, at that time the view tree observer will remove this, which means it will not run fine, right? It will not perform any type of animation. And else, if it is greater than Jelly Bean, right, at that time we will perform this animation and it will be hidden, and this type of layout will be created. It will be hidden under our smartphone, right? It will just display the above part portion of that card view, right? So, and then here again I had created the variable which is params, and then cv product details set. Just click on that, and this is the id of our card view which we had used while including it into our main home page, right? And layout param, that here we have what we are saying in the variable params, we are storing that whole layout as a relative layout, and then we are changing the bottom margin as -1, and we are creating this layout. So due to this method, this function, due to this function, we had hidden that part of card view under behind the screen, and we had displayed just the top portion of that card view, right? So using this method, we need to call this method from onCreate method, right? So set product bottom margin. Now I think our UI is ready, right? Sorry for that. Now I think our UI is ready. Now we need to perform this type of animation. When I click on this card view, at that time it will be displayed onto the screen, and this project title code should come in the middle of the screen, and the background image should be blurred. So this type of animation, let's start creating it. So to do this type of animation, I am having some more methods. Let's enter those methods into our this project. So I'll just paste it here, and I'll explain you how it works. So I'm having here 3 methods, right? I just pasted here 3 methods. First one is init animation, and if you go to second one, that is add blur, and third one is remove blur. So if you can see this, when we click on this card like structure, at that time the background image goes to blur, right? So this animation has been done with the help of this function add blur. So image background, which is the id of our background image, set image bitmap, which method we had used, and bitmap drawable. And here if you can see blurred bitmap. So blurred bitmap is a type of bitmap, and your blur animation is a variable which is type of blur animation. So this both the variables we had been used here, right? And then one more function I had created here, which is remove blur. So using this, you can change again it to normal, right? When we click on back to here, it changes to normal. That I had assigned the background image as this from my drawables folder, that's original image, right? Now let's come to our main init animation method function, right? Function. Now this function is very important for our project. It contains all the animation that we are performing here, right? So this all the animation has been done using this function, right? So I'll explain you how it is, how we are doing this type of animation, right? So I'll explain you, and we will solve this error after some time. First of all, I'll explain you how it works. So first, this TV product title. So this is the idea of our title, right? As you can see, this text view. This is the idea of our title, and we had used the dot post method. And then if the increase animation image, this is a variable that I had declared at the top. Increase animation image, which is type of scale animation. So we will perform the scale animation. That's why I had used that variable, which is type of scale animation, and then equals to scale animation dot builder, scale animation builder, right? So builder variable I had used here, scale animation builder. I think I had did something wrong here. Okay, the scale animation dot scale animation builder, and then image background, which is the ID of our background image, and we will perform the scale animation on this background image, right? When I click on this card view, it changes its scale, right? As you can see, it has been blurred background image, and it has been zoom out, right? It has been zoom out. To do that zoom out, we need to scale animation. So I had passed the value, float value as 1.5 and 1.5, which means by the original image, at the value of 1.5 pixels, it will be zoom out. So this is the value I had passed here, and then dot build to execute this animation. And this and then one more idea has been used, which is type of scale animation, increase animation text, which I had been declared at above, right here, increase animation text. So again, same methods I had used, scale animation, and then ID of my title. So I'll perform now scale animation on this title, right? Title of my project. As you can see, it comes down, right? This is a scale animation. It changes its scales, right? Scales in the sense it changes its pixel, it changes its location. So we can perform it by using scale animation. So we'll perform that scale animation on this product title. So I had passed here float value as 2.25 and dot build, which means the scale animation has been executed. And then same for the decrease animation image and decrease animation text. And then here I am having the translation animation, that is up animation image view, which I had declared above as previously I shown you, translation animation. And what I had did here, translation animation dot translation animation builder, which means we need to use that method to perform this translation animation. And then I had passed here the idea of CV product details, which is the idea of linear layout, right? Right, as you can see here. No, it is yes, correct. It is the idea of my card view, which I had used while including here into my home page layout, main XML layout. So we'll perform animation on that. When I click on this layout, it comes out with the whole layout, right? So this translation animation we will use for this purpose. So translation mode, translation X, and here start point, which means from the 0th position it will start coming upside, and then it will increase the screen height dot divided by here. I had passed some values here, which is a float type, and dot build, which means translation animation will be start working. And then in same way I had performed all those animation on arc up animation TV, which has been applied on my sorry for that again, which I had applied on this card view. When I click on back, it goes to its original location, right? And when it comes back, so this required for translation review. And again, when I click on this, the size of my text product title has been increased, right? As you can see, the size has been increased, so it has been done here by translation animation. And then down image view. So down image view is using this animation. Down image view using this animation, you can perform the animation on this this description part, right? Details part. So this comes up by using this translation animation. And then at the end I am having here arc down animation TV, which means we have performed the animation on this text view, right? Now we had done two type of animation on this text view. First one is to bring it down at the center, and second animation was to increase its size, right? Here we had increased its size, and here from here in this part where bring it down at the center, right? But now it may be displayed at the start of our this margin, or at the end of our margin, or it can go out of our display, right? So to display it in horizontally at the center, I had used this part of code, translation animation. For example, I'll show you example. If I change this 2 to 1.5, let's see what happens. Now at this time it is at the center, right? And let's change it at the end. Later I'll show you how it works, but just before that we must solve these errors, right? That has been performed here. So and here I had performed the blur animation. So of course we had declared all this animation into this function init animation, but we need to call this init animation, right? So from where we will call it application. When I click on this card view, at that time all the animation happens, and when I again click back to my home page background image, it again it comes to its original location. So we need to perform on click listener on two components of our layout, right? First one is this card view, and second one is this background image, right? So let's perform on click listener on both these components of layout components. Go to our onCreate method, onCreate function, and just I'll paste it here. The CV product details, it is the ID of my card view that I had included into my main layout. Just click, press Ctrl and click on this part of code. As you can see, this is ID of my card view .xml file that is I had included into include tag. And from here we can call that all those up animation image view dot show animation. By using show animation, you can perform this all the part of animation, right? Just pass this id dot show animation method, right? And then set clickable yes, true, false, and add blur. This is the add blur is the function that I had created here at the down at the end. So add blur and remove blur. So by clicking on this, all this animation will perform, and by clicking on background image, again it will come to its original state, right? So in order to solve this all the errors, we need to let's find out what's wrong here. Okay, we just imported wrong import package. So just copy it from here and go to at the top of here and going to paste it here. Now as you can see, by importing this package, scale animation package, we had all the errors has been solved here. Now we don't need this part of code, right? This is a package name that has been included here, so just remove it to reduce some sort of code from your project. Now as you can see, all the errors has been solved, and I think our application is ready to run. Let's run our application and see what output it gives. It runs fine or not. Just click on the run and run into my Nexus gallery, my emulator. So as you can see, our application is up and running. And this is our layout file which I had created. This is our background image, and here I had created a card view which I had included to my main.xml file. When I click on this card view, oops, I think something is wrong in our programming. We had missed out something. Let's go to the run section and see what's wrong with our application. So it shows the error that late init property up animation image view has not been initialized. Which means that this variable, which is type of translation animation, has not been initialized. Up animation dot show animation, right? So something is wrong here. Oh, So here, as you can see, of course we had created this function, and we had added all the animation programming inside this function, but as you can see we had not called this function from anywhere, right? So we need to call this function from somewhere, right? Which means it is showing this error because as you can see, when I click on this card view, it shows error on this first line of code, which means here I am having something error because this variable on which I am performing show animation, it contains the null value. Right here I had not assigned it any type of value, which means it is null, and it is type of let init variable, which means it is not important to assign it a value. So in order to assign it value, we had assigned it value inside our init animation, but I had not called this method from I had not called this function from anywhere inside my program. So that's the reason it is not performing this animation, right? So we need to call this method. So in order to use this, we will use the override some by default functions, that is on resume, right? Let's override that on resume method, and then from here I will call that init animation function, right? So now what will happen whenever I run the application, it will, and when I click on any I will click on any of the card. For example, if I click on that card layout, at that time it will come here first line of code, and it will try to perform show animation on this image view, right? So at that time it will go to on resume method, and it will call this init animation, and from here init animation it will search for that ID, right? So our ID is up animation image view, and at that time it will perform this part of code and it will perform the animation. Let's run the application and see now if it runs fine or not. As you can see, our application is up and running, and as it shows the perfectly fine our UI, and when I click on my card view layout, it has been appeared at the center of my application, and it has been popped from the bottom of my screen, and the project title has been displayed at the center of my screen, and the background image has been perfectly blurred, right? And when I click back on my background image, at that time it again it comes to its original state, right? So in this way you can create the card preview layout with some sort of animation in Android Kotlin. Hope you will like this tutorial. Now before ending this tutorial, let's go back to our library which we had used in this project. Right, here we are having demonstration project also, you can refer it. But if you are coding in Java, you must find it difficulty to convert this Kotlin code into Java, right? But this library is made up in Java, and if you go to this library in sample projects, here you can find the source code of the same project in Java, right? Java language, right? So if you are Java developer and you want to build this type of demo application, you use this library in your project, you can refer this project which is built in Java language, right? Just go to this sample project, and here as you can see all the source code is in Java, is available here. You can download it from here and you can use it in your project. But if you are a Kotlin developer, just check out my description. I'll provide my GitHub link in the description, from where you can take this application which we had created today, and you can refer it for your future references. So hence this was our tutorial to create the card layout with some sort of animation. Hope you like this tutorial, and thanks for watching.